Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Director Watch, an AwardsWatch podcast that attempts to get inside the mind of cinema's greatest auteurs and explore what drives them. And maybe we go on a few unrelated tangents along the way. I'm Ryan McQuade, the executive editor here at AwardsWatch, and joining me as always is my co-host, Jay Ledbetter.
Telling the truth can be dangerous business. Honest and popular don't go hand in hand, Ryan, which is why it's so hard to be right about every movie that we talk about on this podcast. And today we're talking about arguably the most impactful movie of Elaine May's directorial career, Ishtar, for largely worse, but it sort of became a punchline, and a punchline that has in many ways prevented her from making a movie in almost 40 years. Its legacy is disappointing. Its quality is up for debate, and we're going to talk about that. But it's a darn interesting one to talk about, I'll tell you that.
We're talking about Ishtar.
We're talking Ishtar.
I'm really excited to talk about this one with you, buddy, because this is maybe the most controversial film we've ever discussed, or consequential is definitely a word that you said that I agree with.
I think it's the most culturally significant movie she directed, and it's for all the wrong reasons as far as its reputation is concerned.
Yeah, like in terms of reception, one of the most divided films we've ever covered on this journey.
When it was released, it was one of the most hated movies of all time.
Yes. And people have since, in like most films in the last, that come out like 50 years ago or whatever.
There's a lot of films.
It gets reevaluated.
If it's super hated, that generally means that there's something interesting about it, as opposed to getting met with complete indifference.
So you mean,
and
like,
I think a lot of the time, boldness, people end up coming back around on. Which,
so what you're saying, in like, I don't know, like 10 years, we're all going to look at Argyle and think, wow, that's a cinematic.
No, but see, that one was like met with indifference. Yeah, I mean, I get it.
You see what I'm saying?
It's sort of like, it's sort of like, in many ways, Elaine May was playing the accordion, and in that case, no one will hire you for a rock and roll band.
See what you're doing here already? This is why we're doing this. It's just us today, by the way.
Yeah, a little solo bolo here.
I think that this is like the first time this year it's just been you and me. We've had guests on pretty much every show.
I love all of our guests. I love doing that, but it's fun every now and then to just get back to the dynamic duo.
Well, I kind of figured that because this is a movie about a dynamic duo, that it made sense that it was just us this week.
Well, here's the question: who's the Lyle and who's the Hawk?
Well, do you have an opinion on this? Because I was trying to think about this the entire time, and I really couldn't.
It's interesting.
I really couldn't come up with who is who, or who I feel like.
Do you want to, like, is being the Lyle an insult is sort of the question, but it also is being the Chuck, the Hawk. Is that an insult as well? Because he's like a, irrationally arrogant person, whereas Lyle is like an affable goober.
Yeah. I mean, like, and both of those kind of fit you perfectly, honestly.
Yeah, maybe I'm just both.
Maybe I'm just Jim Harrison.
Yeah, that could be it.
Maybe I'm just Jim Harrison. I mean, I'll take Lyle.
Okay, I'll be the Hawk.
Yeah, there you go. I love that the start of this movie, by the way, where Lyle talks about like how they became friends at the bar, and we see like the montage of like they were both these struggling doofuses, and that these two doofuses came to be. And that's a lot of like this podcast, and how we were two doofuses floating in the airwaves out there. And we
are the Rogers and Clark of podcasting.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And we're going to strive to be like every other podcast that's popular. And then by the end, we're going to do whatever we want. And most of our listeners are going to be like, sure, that was something, every single week. Right.
So who's our Simon and Garfunkel?
I mean, does it
I mean,
go with?
let's be honest, it's probably blank check.
It's probably blank check.
Ugh.
But I feel
I
like
love him.
I love them. I feel like they've gone less on what we do in terms of tangents. They're more buttoned up now
Well,
than they used to be
you know,
because they got sponsorships and like jobs and
meanwhile,
stuff.
anyone listening right now is like, maybe for the better.
Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't like tell them. Be like, you know what? There's a more button up
Maybe
version
we
of this
are out
show.
here, yeah, singing dangerous business.
Hey, but who doesn't want to sing "Dangerous Business"? It's actually kind of a catchy song. I was like, I was well. What's so funny is they play it on the piano in the apartment, and they play it so upbeat, and then it's like super like slowed down and
Dramatic.
dramatic when they play it. And it's so funny the way Hoffman and Beatty play it. It's like it's
Any
ridiculous.
time they are playing music
It's
in this movie,
it's
it is
hilarious.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
It is so
so
funny.
good. It's so good. Um, I don't know. Usually at this time I'm asking a guess how they think of, but we're towards the end of this series and we're talking about
Yeah.
Elaine May's final film, which is very sad, Jay. I know that we're going to talk about Ishtar, and I mean, obviously you've read up on the history, and I know as much of it as you do about this, and that this is a movie like 11 years after Mikey and Nikki, which is crazy.
11 years after Mikey and Nikki, the production process of Mikey and Nikki was a disaster.
This was not
And
far from it, you
it
know.
is, we're doing the Nichols and May thing, and it's not fair to either of them to, treat them as this one to one. But what did we kind of learn about Mike Nichols is that Nichols felt the need to do like I just have to prove that I can make a movie on budget and on schedule and just kind of get back in people's good graces. That is not in Elaine May's DNA. And as
No.
fraught as the production of Mikey and Nikki was, Ishtar makes that look like, you know, getting coffee in the morning. Um,
No, I mean like she had her vision and she stuck to her guns.
and that's
What
awesome.
and that's awesome. Now she did a lot of writing gigs and
Yes.
ghost
A
writing
lot
in
of
between the stuff.
uncredited, yeah,
I mean, like
stuff
one of them that we obviously are going to talk
with
about
Warren
with
Beatty.
Warren Beatty was she did
Yeah.
a massive punch up of the screenplay for Reds,
And she got
and Heaven Can Wait as well
an
too.
Oscar nomination for Heaven Can Wait. Yeah.
Exactly. So he trusted the hell out of her, though that relationship massively crumbled at this movie.
Yep.
And Hoffman of all people, who is like not uh an even keel kind of guy, like he's got a hot head as well too. He played the mediator
Hothead
between the
and
two of
also
them.
has some very
Problematic shit.
troubling
Yeah.
allegations
I
on the
mean,
set of this movie.
well, he also had stuff, in Kramer versus Kramer. I mean, like Nichols and him almost like literally killed each other making The Graduate as well too. And when we talked about that earlier this year, so it's not like but Hoffman played the middleman between these two, which is
Yeah.
freaking nuts when you think about it. But I think that the thing that doing this exercise and getting to this episode, and you're right, Jay, like Nichols, for all of his, for all of his baggage that he still had a hit in there. He still compromised and made studio movies and tried to get back in good graces, or he went back to the stage and built back up his reputation
Yeah,
that
that's true
way.
too.
And also, the big thing is he's a man and he's able, and as we've
That
seen throughout
definitely
history,
is part of it.
it's a big part of it because if you're difficult as a man and you fail, but then maybe you have a moderate hit or something, society and especially the studio system saw it differently as opposed to how people of color and women over time, and even still to this day, when
That
they
is
fail,
true, but Mike Nichols made The Graduate, which
he
was
also did.
the
Yeah,
highest grossing movie of its year.
I understand that,
He
but
had Oscars. He had,
yes,
you know,
he
and
did.
then he also made Silkwood, where he was like, I'm going to be much less complicated.
He also made the Dolphin movie, Jay. So like, come on now, like,
Well,
like like
I mean, no, I
he made
understand.
Day of the Dolphin. Like,
Elaine May is a genius.
Yes.
Her movies didn't make that much money.
No. Or
She
hits. Some
always
like
went over budget and over schedule.
yes.
And she had the shorter leash of being a woman.
Yes.
It was the,
Yep.
compounding
Huh?
impacts of all of those things.
Yes.
And this went double its budget and way
Yes.
over schedule. And the stars wanted to,
Kill her.
yeah.
Yeah. And she wanted to kill them. She was like the editing
And then
process
it
of this
came
thing was
out and everyone absolutely hated it. And it was a box office disaster.
and I do want to say I want to say this about it. It's like from
It
my
doesn't
reading,
deserve to be, though.
I don't think it deserves to be. We don't, we can get into our thoughts here in a second, but it is fascinating about like nowadays everything is covered, right? And when we hear about movies that are sort of disastrous, like famously, I think of the Kyle Buchanan book, The Blood, Sweat, and Chrome, and it's a
Yeah.
whole oral
I mean,
history
that was
on.
a posthumous examination of that
Yes,
movie, but yes.
but there was rumblings of like in interviews and stuff during that time as well too of like, and not shortly far after about how there was this massive just distrust and unease between Theron and Hardy and how this movie
Yeah, that
was
was always there.
and that
Yeah.
that movie took forever and the idea of like
That wasn't
what
a
is
new
going
thing, though. Titanic was written that way.
yeah but no but like the but,
Waterworld. You know
no
what they
for
called
sure
you know what they called Waterworld?
what did they call it
Fish tar.
fish tar oh interesting
That's what it was called in the trades before it came out. Yeah.
and so like but for the most part history has been good to those movies because then people see these unique visions and most of the time that stuff comes out after but if the beforehand if the news cycle picks it up right a narrative builds on some of these movies and then critics and people covering these things can't help but put their biases in these things instead of like
They
actual
were locked and
they were
loaded
locked
for
and loaded
freaking Ishtar.
like it's kind of weirdly now also too what they do with some directors who had like a bad movie like I say this all the time Jay I feel like anytime M. Night Shyamalan has a movie coming out regardless of the quality of it people have their takes already locked and loaded and don't
I
actually
think
give it a
that's
fair
true,
chance
although I think they're
but
half of the critical community is sort of the opposite now, where they are going to give him the benefit of the
they
doubt
want
more.
to like I just want to go and see the
I think
movie.
it's split now, whereas
Yeah.
split.
Literally. There you go.
Whereas I remember seeing the trailer for Devil in the movie theater, and when it said
The
from
people laughing,
producer M. Night Shyamalan, people literally just started laughing.
groaning. I remember groaning and be like, God damn it, not this again. But it took time. It took till the visit and his whole resurface because he had a
His
rebirth.
resurgence, yeah. I mean, he had, oh my God, he was on a tough run there for a
But I
while.
remember when like the trailer for Trek came out, my audience was into it. But when
was a
the
good
reviews
trailer.
when the reviews came out, like it's this there's a biasness within media and criticism that happens for certain things, and it's built in. And I think with this movie, because of its baggage, because of what everybody heard, and then it is also a pretty out of the box kind of movie as well too. But mostly that's
It's also starring massive movie
stars,
like some of the
And
most famous people on the planet.
exactly. So you put all these expectations up,
And it's weird.
and it's weird. And it's like, yeah, I can feel the venom within the reviews that I read. I mean, like Roger Ebert gave this a half star. He just like destroyed this thing. And
Richard Roper, not my favorite critic, but
no, he's your guy.
he gave it.
You
He
have
gave
like
it.
time
He
all-
said it was one of the 40 worst movies he's ever seen.
which is like, but then you and I watch this now, doing a series like this with Outside doing the
It's
series.
a good movie.
It's a good movie.
It's
like
a good movie.
But it's also like a movie that feels weirdly
It makes me laugh so
made
much.
for a different time. I don't know. Like
I
Like,
it's
I like-
just it's
it works.
abrasive, which is kind of Elaine May's thing.
Yeah.
Is being abrasive and challenging the audience, and it's
Super
not
absurd.
easy.
No,
Yeah.
and
It's very absurd, and it's playing on, in a lot of ways, an outdated thing. It's doing, Bing Crosby buddy road trip movie.
Fish out of
Hope
water.
and Crosby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even at the end of the movie, and I think, they do this like fake poster where it is, Chuck and Lyle or whatever it says, um, on this freeze frame poster. Um, but I think that works incredibly well. And it's just so full of awesome gags. And then it also occasionally gets so bogged down in plot. It is not a perfect movie. I am not here to claim that Ishtar is a perfect movie. But when it is firing on all cylinders, it is really as good as anything that she has ever made, which is saying a lot because I think she's a genius.
It's honestly, as I was watching, I was like, oh, this is kind of weirdly like the interesting political movie that Mike Nichols was trying to make for forever. He just never
I said it
got
was
to
her
make it.
Charlie Wilson's War. I mean,
Yeah, I was kind of
that's
watching that a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah. And then I feel like that's why he kept trying to make,
the Middle East intermediary movie.
yeah, where he kept trying to make, you know what I mean? Because he kept missing out on like, that was the thing he never got. Like he could get characters and human emotion and really like the human experience, right? And
Well,
human
every
connection.
political movie he made kept
But
getting, undercut by some other massive.
but then you watch like this and you're like, and he even worked with Elaine May and we talked about primary
But
colors
this
and how
wasn't
like
even
that's such a
treated seriously. This was
no.
just treated as like an absolute calamity from day one, from day -1 before it even came
I was
out.
gonna say, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you never even got to talk about the politics of a movie like this or the comedy of it or influences or anything like the things that we'll talk about because everyone just was like, this is the biggest piece of crap. Let's all go watch it and then or not watch it and be done with it.
And I do
And
think there's a
that's
lot
an
of
uninteresting way to cover films.
underlying embedded sexism
Yeah.
in that treatment of this movie specifically.
Yeah, because there was like a whole era of movies that killed the 70s. And most of those were directed by men with
Because,
these
oh
massive
my God,
budgets.
you go back and look at how many women got to direct movies in 1987.
Not many.
It's
You know,
heinous.
yeah, not American filmmakers even,
No.
like mostly international.
Yeah.
And it's
And
honestly
so
a
it,
movie
it,
like
it
a
almost
movie
felt like permission to pound it more than,
it's yeah.
you normally might.
And I feel like a movie like Ishtar, its legacy still lingers today, Jay, because when a woman when a female filmmaker has a movie that doesn't hit after an extensive run, there is the feeling that this is the type of disaster that
She hasn't
executives
made a
feel like.
movie in 40 years.
Yeah, like they put her in this. Now, I
She's
mean,
one of the most revered
to be
comedic
fair,
figures in
she took a step
history.
back and then she reunited with Nichols and wrote a lot of
She's
movies
done
after
important
that.
stuff since then, but
But
not
she didn't
as a
get to
director.
helm it. She didn't get
Right.
to
And now
be
she's
behind the
92 and
and
trying to do it.
they won't let her
And
still.
I'm not sure it will ever happen.
No, I don't think it. I don't think it will.
I don't think it'll ever happen.
I think sadly it's going to be maybe
She's had this thing rumored with Dakota Johnson and I believe now Sebastian
Sebastian
Stan
Stan.
for 5 or 6 years. And she's 92 now.
I
And she
honestly,
hasn't made a movie in 40 years.
it's going to be a posthumous affair, and the script will come out and somebody will make it. And I don't know who the hell's going to do that, but that would be
She did
terrible.
get her honorary Oscar in, I believe, 2022.
Yes, and she was there.
Well
She received it.
deserved.
Well deserved.
Most people
And
are recognized with honorary Oscars, when they should have gotten one sooner.
some are given their honorary Oscars and sadly pass away before they're able to receive them, like Quincy
That
Jones this past year.
stinks.
You know what I mean? Like Quincy Jones, they announced it and then he sadly passed away.
Yeah.
Not that I think Quincy Jones already had an Oscar if I'm not mistaken, but still, it's like that's your moment to shine. You know what I mean? And some people they get their honorary Oscar and then they get a competitive Oscar.
All right, let me ask you, Ryan, as the Oscar guy,
Hmm.
I think we should give honorary Oscars visibility in the
Yes,
actual award show.
yes, they used to do this.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because here's my hot take.
Okay,
If the reason they're not doing it is because they want to keep the show more streamlined, And honestly, the stuff they should cut is that like stupid James Bond thing. But
By the way,
if
also
if
Quincy Jones, he did not win a competitive Oscar. He was nominated 7 times. He won the humanitarian award in '95. That's what he won, and then he won the another honorary Oscar for his legacy in this past year. Sorry, just to clarify. I'm sorry, Jay.
do you think it would be better for the Oscars if they eliminated the shorts categories
Ooh.
and instead put in the honorary Oscars for people that occasionally are as important as Elaine May or David Lynch?
So here's what I have said for years
Okay.
about the Oscars: is the Oscars should be a weekend event. It should be something to celebrate over
A
multiple nights.
weekend event, which it is. That's when they do the honorary Oscars,
But
but they're
they
not
do the
televised in the
they do
same
the
way.
honorary Oscars 3 months before the real
Oh, is
Oscars.
that right? Oh, I didn't
Yes.
realize it was that long
So they
before.
do it
Okay.
like months before at a private dinner. The YouTube clips now, thankfully, are on there. And like Mulaney hosted it a couple years, like 2 years ago, and did a great job. And
See, this sounds like an
you know,
Oscar
it
nerd
it really
opinion
is.
of
Like,
this.
go watch Mulaney's monologue
You're
for it. It's
gonna
wonderful.
televise the honorary Oscars the
Here's
night
what,
before the actual Oscars?
but here's what I want to do. I want to keep the shorts, so we can do some awards that night that
See, I'm
wouldn't be
just
on the
like,
main show. Hear
get
me
rid of the
out.
shorts.
Hear me out. Shorter ceremony on both ends. You take some of the awards that you put them on the night before. You can do you
Okay.
can do like documentary, you could do
This
animated
is
feature, you could do international feature, and you could do the short. So you have 6 awards there on the night. And then you have the honoraries, and you're able to give them full speeches, full acknowledgments, like for the Broccolis, for example, right? Because they got the
so you're
honorary.
saying the
Hear me out. I'm
honoraries are
not
now
done.
on Saturday.
Yes.
Okay.
Why is the NFL honors for the NFL awards on like Saturday or Friday night, and then the Super Bowl is on Sunday?
I mean, that's
Why
fine. I
can't
mean,
why can't
nobody
we do
cares
that?
about
But
the NFL Honor Awards.
no, no, I mean, people care who won the MVP award. They do.
Yeah, well, then they'll see it on the ESPN
Exactly.
top line the next morning, but they
Exactly.
won't watch
But
the actual.
if you're telling me that because at the honorary awards, they got Daniel Craig to present the award to the Barbara Broccoli and to Michael G. Wilson for Bond, right? They could essentially then do the damn tribute for Bond there and get it off the main show.
I mean,
Or
it
maybe
was
you do it the weekend
truly,
before. It was an
it
embarrassing
was, it
thing.
was egregious.
I
Yeah.
and here's the thing. I actually don't mind the songs that are nominated being a part of the telecast. I know that that's a big hang up for some people.
They just need to change the rules for the original song. It needs to be part of the movie.
Fair, but that means I mean Amelia Perez would have still won that. I think a lot of people were still hung up on the whole Amelia Perez thing,
I mean,
and
Amelia
everything.
Perez was a problem in many, many ways.
It was gonna win the damn song and whatnot. I don't care. Like I don't care about that. Like they do this all the time when they go back and forth on the rules. I don't care. They're it's a chance to celebrate the songs of those movies because
But then sometimes it's the, Celine Dion song, My Heart Will Go On. And
sometimes
like,
it's
well,
shallow.
obviously you play it.
Sometimes it's
Or
shallow.
shallow.
Sometimes it's the Bond song. Sometimes it's the Barbie songs. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so.
I'm Just Ken.
Yeah,
That was a moment.
exactly. And it's not going to happen every year though, and you can't
Right.
manifest that. And when they try to
I'm
manifest
okay
that,
with
it's
them
always.
doing it case by case.
I think
I
that
don't
they
mind
should do
them.
it every year. I think it's like, come on, they're nominees,
Disagree with
celebrate
that.
them. You can't do these dumbass musical tributes and have what you really can't do is have a song like the Wizard of Oz Wicked medley to start the show off and say we can do musical performances and not then do musical performances for the songs that are nominated. You can't have both ways. You
It's
cannot do
interesting.
that.
See,
You can't you
this is
can't
the
have
Oscar lover
Encanto.
versus the Oscar skeptic
You
here.
can't have we need to talk about Bruno and the other songs. You got to have
I
them
mean, I think
both.
the point that the Bruno thing proves is that they were
Stupid.
foolish for
Yeah.
not nominating it in the first place.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
And then obviously
I don't
the
hate
Wicked
the Wicked.
songs weren't eligible for being
I don't
nominated in the
mind.
first place.
I don't mind the Wicked thing actually starting off the show. I thought it was great,
I don't either. Thought it was pretty
but
good.
you should do the rest. Honor the damn
My
people
God,
nominated.
are you bummed that we didn't get how many songs was Amelia Perez
5
nominated for?
Or they were nominated for two.
Three,
Two.
two.
Two. They would have done
I'm
a 2 minute medley on those
I'm good.
songs, Jay. 2 minutes and cut the Bond tribute. Cut the Bond tribute, cut the Quincy Jones
I mean, the
tribute,
Bond tribute was a nightmare.
cut the weird in memoriam bits because they never get an in memoriam right. I think an in memoriam
The
shouldn't
weird the in memoriam this year I thought was real
the
weird.
Requiem for a
Very
Dream.
upbeat or like we not necessarily upbeat, but like it was actually downbeat is what it
Yeah,
was. It was
downbeat.
like,
It was bleak.
oh, we are all going to die one day, just like these people.
It also felt weird to highlight Gene Hackman, nobody else, and then end it with Gene Hackman again. Like I love Hackman,
They
but like,
did a little Lynch. Lynch was up there for 7 seconds.
but make the in memoriam part of the first night event.
But you're
Put off
just
the telecast.
this is what you want as an Oscar maniac.
Yeah, I want a weekend of
Nobody would
celebrating
watch the
movies.
Saturday thing. The
This is-
Oscars cannot be a 2-day event.
Guess what? They're niche anyway.
They could
Bleed
be for
into the
you.
niche.
I mean, this is a fair point, but
Bleed into the fucking niche. They are still, after the Super Bowl, the highest rated show every single year that people watch.
so what do we do? Do we put the Saturday show on
Put it on
Hulu?
Netflix. Put it on Hulu. I don't
like
give a
it's an
shit.
ABC thing? So you put it on Hulu?
Yeah, or I mean, instead of showing episodes of Blue or like what is it, The Rookie or Blue Bloods or whatever, just put it on. Make it a 2 hour event.
Yeah. I mean, it would
And
still get more viewers than whatever else was going on
Whatever
Saturday.
reruns are playing.
And then the nerds would watch it.
It's not like a sporting event's going to play that night.
I
can move the basketball games over to the,
feel
you know.
rude saying it, but who cares about the shorts? Sorry.
I know you're going to say that, but
Sorry.
this is the part that happened a couple of years ago where they're like, oh, who cares about the shorts? And then like someone like Riz Ahmed wins a short, or somebody like when he was alive, Kobe Bryant won a short, and those were people cared about stuff like that. So it does, and Wes Anderson, yes, like it happens every now and then. It's not an every year occurrence, but like it does happen sometimes. And those
That's pretty
speeches,
weird when Kobe won an Oscar.
yeah, for like a basketball animated
That was
short
crazy.
thing. Yeah, but like it happens. So I don't think getting rid of them entirely, but like what the Grammys do, because the Grammys don't put all of their awards on the telecast.
Oh yes, the Grammys, the pinnacle.
No,
of,
but what I'm saying is that they do a separate ceremony hours before the main show even does on the same day. They give everybody like their boatload of awards, and then they get that out of the way because people watch the Grammys for the performances.
well, that's all that the Grammys is.
Exactly.
basically.
So
How many awards did they give out at the actual Grammys ceremony? Like
8.
7? Yeah, I mean
8. But they have 20 performances. And
yeah,
they,
that's
and
what
they
it is.
celebrate movies.
It's a concert.
But they celebrate music. They
They
find
do.
a way to celebrate it. Whether you like it or not, they celebrate the music.
What
that
you're
year.
saying is get rid of every below the line category is what you're saying. to
I'm
make
not
the
saying that.
Oscars
No.
celebrate movies.
I'm saying get rid of the shorts that nobody sees and put them on another night to help prop up the honorary, because nobody's going to want to just watch honorary Oscars and speeches. So you got to give a little bit of extra is what I'm trying to help you out with.
Interesting. Ishtar.
Yes.
Um,
And yes, I
film
would like to
Ishtar, directed
see
by Elaine May.
I would like to see these moments because they used to have it. Like Peter O'Toole came out and gave a speech, and Sidney Poitier and others in the past used to come out during the Oscars and do it. I think that the obsession of a 3 hour runtime or a 3.5 hour show or whatever it is, like fucking let the Oscars be as long as they want. I
So you're
honestly
saying
don't
just
care.
make it 4. Who cares?
I mean, why not? Super Bowl's 4 hours long. Nobody fucking complains about that. No one's sitting there go, oh God, so many commercials and the halftime show and it's all this shit. Like they just sit down and watch it. It's an event. It's a once a year event that happens. Treat it like
That's a false equivalence, but
once a year we get the Oscars. Once a year we get a Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm down. Honestly, the real answer is get rid of the stupid James Bond thing and have
Don't have tributes.
whoever who got
Don't
who
like
got honorary Oscars this year. Do you know?
It was Quincy Jones. It was the Bond. It was the Bond producers. Somebody else. You know who I've wanted to get Jay, you know who I want to get an honorary award and I think it would be great? Like a couple of years ago was Michael J. Fox, which is like, tell me there wouldn't have been a dry eye in the house watching that. Okay?
It's true.
Or David Lynch or whoever. Oh, it was Richard Curtis who wrote all the like Love Actually and everything. And Hugh Grant's speech, if you saw it online, knocked it out of the park. It was so funny. Go watch it online, Jay, if you get the chance. I think you
No, I
really
mean, I'm
like it.
sure it'd be great.
But like, I want Harrison Ford to get an honorary Oscar.
Like
Is it?
Samuel L. Jackson got
Yeah,
one.
and Denzel Washington presented it to him.
Peter Weir, Mel
Yeah, Mel
Brooks,
Brooks. Yeah, like there's some important people in cinema that have gotten this, and they're
Angela
great.
Bassett.
Yeah, Angela Bassett got it
These are all in
after.
the last like several years.
Yeah, it would be great speeches, wouldn't it? It would be
Liv
wonderful
Ullman.
moments. Yeah, it's wonderful.
I mean, these are that it would be
Cool.
great.
It'd be cool, right? Because
They're
that's
just
because I feel
these
like
are very important figures in the history of cinema.
we celebrate too much of the movies nowadays and we forget about our history. And we're coming up on 100 years of Oscars, and I feel like we're so focused on like we got to get people to watch and Wicked and Gladiator shit or Oppenheimer Barbie stuff, and it's like no, how about we celebrate some movies of the
Hold
past
on
too?
one
You know,
gosh darn second. I'm just going down the list here. Donald Sutherland got one in 2017.
yeah.
Donald Sutherland was never nominated for an Oscar.
Welcome to the world of why we were all very sad and mad he wasn't nominated for like Ordinary People or JFK or you name the
Oh
list.
my God. Agnes Varda, 2017.
Yeah, you're going down this rabbit hole. Now you're figuring it
See
out.
what like a
What are
cool
we
thing
doing?
that would be to have these people up on stage.
Imagine like Kiefer going up there and giving this to his dad. You know
And
what I
if you want
mean?
to talk like if you talk about being the nerdiest Oscar nerd, why would you not want this to be one of the central
It's
experiences of
been
the
something
show?
that we've wanted for years. I've
I
wanted
know. I
for
mean,
years.
this is probably
No, you're not. No, I don't think you're
well
wasting.
tread territory
No,
for
you're not saying anything that's not
people who are very into
untrue.
this
I think
stuff,
that
but
there's a world where you can do it all. I just think there's
it's
also
just
like
odd.
I think that there's like, but then you gotta have like a guy that gives like a 7.5 minute speech and it kind of undercuts that. So,
A little bit of the
um,
momentum, maybe.
yeah, I kind of also feel
I guess.
like I loved Conan. I thought he did a great job.
Oh, are you about to do a butt here?
Yeah, but I feel like he could have done more. But I don't think they allow him to do more because like now because they're so
You feel like he
precious
could have
about
been more
the
central to the show.
yeah, like I feel like we've lessened what a meaning of a
Mm,
host is because of all the years they didn't have one, and now they're obsessed with a runtime and staying under that, even though they didn't hit
I
it at
just thought
all.
Conan was so good.
But he was that's the thing, it's like I wanted more of him throughout it because like I just thought he was wonderful. And he actually like watched the movies, unlike Kimmel, and is funnier than Kimmel. And like
Oh, he's so much funnier than Kimmel.
and now they're gonna have him come back next year, and I'm like, cool, let him have like free range to do whatever the fuck he wants. Like Conan rules. I'm never gonna say no to more
That
Conan.
I really thought he did a phenomenal job. And that's coming from kind of more of an Oscar normie, which I feel
Cynic.
like is what they should be striving for.
I was gonna say
But
cynic more than normie
but
anything, but yeah.
also Conan is more comedy cilantro than somebody like Kimmel, who is like agreeable, never great, but never
Bad.
terrible to kind of the lowest common denominator. But to your point, the Oscars are niche enough where it's like, let the weird Conan guy do it. Also, his podcast is incredibly
I was gonna
popular.
say, like,
He's a hugely popular figure.
I don't think he's cilantro anymore. I think he's very popular.
Yeah, he is.
You know what I
I
mean?
don't
Like
know.
he's his
Ishtar.
his stuff is great. Anyway, Ishtar,
Ishtar.
Elaine May.
A very good film.
Yes. So when did you first see this, Jake? Because this is the first time watch for me. When did you see it
Um,
and your thoughts on the film itself?
I first saw it 4 or 5 years ago. I knew of it only by its reputation, which was it's one of the worst movies ever made. Uh,
Does
I
that
mean,
make your ears press up when you hear something like that and go, well, now I got to see it? Does that just make
not
it curious for you a little bit?
well. By this point, I kind of knew who Elaine May was. I had watched every Elaine May film leading up to this, and I
Yeah.
was like, a combination of how could it be this bad, or are people wrong about this?
Mhm.
And I think people are wrong about this. I really do think the first 30 minutes of this movie are immaculate. Like some of, again, Elaine May's best work. And I think even many of the parts where they're in the Middle East, in this fictional nation of Ishtar, um, are absolutely hysterical. It can get bogged down in these global politics, very plotty. There's some complications in the story of the movie, but I think, I mean, just the fact that Dustin Hoffman is the alpha of the Warren Beatty Dustin Hoffman relationship in this movie is funny enough in and of itself. I mean, Warren Beatty at one point, I believe, literally says, "Girls would never go for a guy like me. They'd always go for a guy like you." And I'm like, I mean, come on, this is good. I mean, how can you say that this movie is all the way bad when Warren Beatty is willing to do something like that? And it is so funny coming from a guy like Warren Beatty who has this reputation for being this very self-serious, self-important Lothario. Uh, I just think everybody was so game for this movie, and I think while they were making it, they really felt like they were making something really good. They also felt like they were making something very expensive and over budget and over schedule. But I think they saw what was going on with this movie and they thought they had something special. And except for maybe Warren Beatty didn't see that because there was a lot of clashing with the final cut of this film, even though really the only reason that Beatty was on this in the first place is because of his relationship with Elaine May on Heaven Can Wait and on Reds. And arguably, this movie doesn't get made if Warren Beatty's not involved. So
Because he's
it's
like at his peak of his powers at this point, it feels
right.
like.
He is it in 2025. I think people don't really understand how popular Warren Beatty was.
His 70s, and then he wins best director in early in the 80s.
Yeah.
He is like, I can make whatever the fuck I want.
He's one of the
And
most famous
there's,
people in the world, in
yeah,
addition to being a highly celebrated actor and director.
commercially pretty good as well, too. Like just
Yeah.
a guy you can put on the marquee and trust kind of thing.
And also just a total heartthrob.
Yeah, no, like one of the like biggest like bachelors of in film history until Annette Bening scooped him up, in the 90s.
Good for you, Annette.
Good for her. No, yeah, I mean, good
And
for
good for
Annette, but
him.
good for him in a lot of ways
Yeah.
because she's now the one that actually works in that family, as
That's true.
opposed.
Warren Beatty's career is so weird.
It's really weird. Like he finds her, and then she's like, "You're staying at home. I'm going to work."
He has
And
made two movies in, or at least acted in two movies in the 21st century.
which one's is it's the rules don't apply,
Yep, of course.
and then what's the other one?
Town and Country.
That's right. That's right. And now he's like mostly just getting honorary awards now,
He's just coasting.
which is fine. Because when you have a career like his, you could coast all the way to the crowd, to the what is it? What's the saying? To the
To the bank.
to the bank, I guess. Yeah, I
Or,
guess. I don't know. I was gonna make some other
I mean, I don't know.
analogy.
His 70s into early 80s, McCabe and Mrs. Miller,
Oh,
Parallax View, Shampoo, Heaven Could Wait, Reds.
I mean,
He
he
was
was
doing okay.
he's pretty good. And he worked with Nichols too.
Yeah, The Fortune.
Yeah, your favorite movie of Nichols?
Not one of Nichols' best, but
But he got to work with his buddy. He was big pals.
Jack.
Jack. Yeah.
God, can you imagine those guys?
Man. Well, I mean, yeah, then they worked on Reds together. He was in Reds. Jack was in Reds. So like
Yeah.
Like I remember, I think
No, but imagine them out on the town.
I don't actually want to. It'd probably get us canceled on this show just for talking about what they did. But then, like, I think both the Kennedy Center honors and the honorary Oscar, Jack gave it to Warren Beatty, and vice versa. Like they have a very close relationship. So they're movie stars.
They are
And Dustin
some of the
Hoffman,
biggest movie stars of all time.
and not to discredit him, Dustin Hoffman, a very big movie star as well too, post his graduate
This
run.
would
He
have been
became,
right before the Rain Man Oscar,
which
right?
would have been his second Oscar,
Yeah.
you know, because he won one for Kramer versus Kramer.
Yep.
So yeah, he is
He was a big
still a
deal.
big deal. Like, yeah.
And these are in Warren Beatty is sort of a movie star in the traditional vein, and Dustin Hoffman is very much a movie star that we don't really have anymore.
It's like a new wave movie star at
And
that point.
then
Yeah.
so for that duo, and then for that duo to sort of be flip-flopped, where Warren Beatty is kind of the uncomfortable, shy member of the crew, and Dustin Hoffman is the brash Lothario. It's very funny. It's very funny. And I'm not sure that kind of the satirical commentary of the movie entirely works, but you definitely feel this as the on the run up to the original George H.W. Bush Gulf War. This kind of idea of American interference in Middle Eastern geopolitics. It was very prescient in that regard in a lot of ways. And it also has incredible gags about blind camels. So it's doing all of these things at once, often not entirely successfully or cohesively, but it is in totality. If you look at kind of the batting average of this movie, it is way, way more successful than it is not. And I think it got a real bad rap when it came out.
So this was the first time watch for me, and I kept it that way because I always kind of felt we were going to do Elaine May too. By the way, I always felt like this was going to be a series that we did, and I'd known Ishtar's sort of reputation because I've seen a lot of films with Hoffman, obviously a lot of films with Warren Beatty. Beatty is Beatty's really great actor, and one that I like. I call my guys. Like
Is he
he's
really one of your guys? I didn't know that.
like as an actor, yeah, because like
He's been in
anything,
like 20 movies
and
in
he's like kind of great,
60 years.
and he's kind of great in like every one of them. Like he's got this sort of like
I haven't seen a lot of his movies.
he's like very like obviously like very charming, very pretty guy, you know, and everything. But I don't know, man. He just delivers great performances, has a swagger about him, and there's it's sort of like I equate a little bit of Beatty with like Clooney, of like there's these guys that have these just laser beams or tractor beams of charisma, and sometimes they can coast on it, but then other times it's like, man, they can deliver just performances you don't expect.
Or they can undercut their own personas, like in this
Yeah,
movie,
yeah,
or in Burn
absolutely,
After Reading with
exactly,
Clooney.
or even Oh Brother with Art Thou at that point too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you know,
100%. Yeah.
and play against type and do it in a way that's much more interesting than people that could otherwise be in those roles.
They're
So I
not precious. I mean,
no,
just
they're not.
The Rock, man. Like, just chill out,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I mean, he's gonna be with Marty, so
I gotta say,
don't know if
I'm
that one's happening.
very excited for that movie.
Really,
If
you
it
are.
happens. Yes, I think that is very exciting.
It will be exciting to see The Rock hand himself over to somebody like Scorsese because he has to.
Well, he's got the Safdie movie this year, right?
Yeah, and so he doesn't have a choice. Like, and that'll actually give us an insight into how that Marty movie could be. But also, Marty has like 15 projects he wants to do right now.
That is
and
true.
He's like an old
got
man.
some
It's
serious
like,
Del Toro syndrome going
I
on
really
right
want
now.
him to make the one film that him and DiCaprio have been trying to make for forever. I think it's like the Eric Larson novel.
Devil in the White City, that
Yeah,
one?
I've been dying for them to make that one. That feels
That's
like
been in the works for like 10
15
plus
years.
years.
Yeah, it's been insane. That's the one I want. Like, I want that one.
honestly, I want the Rock one.
Well, why don't we just have both?
I mean, I would love both. That sounds
I just don't
awesome.
think he's going to be able
Apple,
to do
give him
both
300 mil
like,
for
for two
each.
films. Yeah, exactly. Give him like a Knives Out deal, right? Um, but no, so I watched this and with the obviously the label of being the one of the worst movies ever, a career ender, a calamity of epic proportions. And I watched this movie, Jay, and I was like, at worst, it's like a 3.5 star film. But because these
It's
guys
like a
are,
4-star movie for me.
but
I mean,
these
I
guys,
think it's very good.
no, but like because this is so committed to its bit, and these guys are so funny, and there's just every now and then when yeah, the politics of it can get a little like murky or a little bit like too hat on a hat within itself, right? Charles Grodin stuff a little bit, even though Grodin's great, like the
Burden is
stuff
great.
the stuff around Grodin is in Isabella Johnny, it can be a lot. And I don't necessarily know if it lands. These two dum dums come in and are just absolutely killing it.
I
In
mean,
every
literally
scene.
from scene one where they're singing over the credits.
Yeah, where they're just
It's
from the moment.
funny. It's funny before they're even on screen.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So then it turns into a 4 star film. And it turns into one of those that's like what we talked about, where it's like, okay, these people are never going, we're never going to give this thing a chance. Because I don't see this being any dissimilar than anything we've seen her do before and see her do after. It's very funny movies with these great actors being giving these great performances. And kind of like Primary Colors, like I don't think it lands its political messaging. But in terms of comparison to her, or terms of comparing to her counterpart in Partner in Crime, Mike Nichols, in a lot of his political films, it's better than most of those, if not all of them. And even one that she co-wrote and wrote for him.
I think it's as politically coherent as Charlie Wilson's War, which I don't consider
True,
much
but
of a
at least it
compliment.
like
But
it's not bogged down in biography in Wiki.
no, but it's bogged down in plot.
It is bogged down in plot, but at least it can throw things and at the wall and see if it sticks. And so it has
The
ambition behind
map
it.
MacGuffin is
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah, that's the rough thing. But there's also like funny bits with that too, like their manager and the whole bit of that.
I mean, it
And
being sewn in the jacket is pretty good.
it's pretty good. But like no, I just kind of like I admire the swing. And Jay, if anyone
We give a little too much leeway to
to
something that
swings.
is a real swing.
Yeah, but you know what though? I don't think a
But I
lot
think
of
this is really
but
successful.
Jay, I don't think a lot of people do. I think people
But honestly, is it
no. Like I
better that we do? I don't
yes.
think we're I mean,
I think
this is one
sometimes
of the great questions.
I think sometimes people
Are we
I
grading on an unfair curve if a movie is just like, I'm going for it?
no, because I think that nowadays we see so many movies that are stale and bland and down the middle and unimaginative and without risk that when we do see a movie like this, like if this movie came out now, I'd still probably give it the same rating and I'd be like, wow, she at least took a swing, which is far than I can say the other
Well, I mean,
15
yeah,
releases that came out in the
you
weekend.
watch you watch Stuber, and then you watch this, and it's like,
Well, I watch anything like what is the Glenn Powell, Sydney Sweeney movie that everybody loves so
oh
goddamn much?
my God,
Like
what was
people
that movie
gave that a
called?
pass, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you can give it a pass because because one of them has chemistry with the other, but like this is a pretty nothing movie. Like I think mostly people are just happy because it made money, and that's fair, I guess, because that's where we're at as a society. But like,
I
you
mean,
know,
it is interesting that
most
that
movies that
was
I
the reaction to that was, wow, this
made
terrible
money,
movie made a lot of money.
money,
That's awesome.
and
But it's
people
in a
watched it.
genre that people don't make very much anymore.
And if they did, they probably would make a
And the
lot of
hope
money,
is,
you
well,
know?
maybe now they'll get to make good versions of this movie.
And it's like, no, we're going to learn the wrong lessons like they always do and make shittier versions of this
Anyone
thing.
but you.
Yeah, that's what it is. Thank you. Um, but like, no, I don't think it's a bad thing that you and because that's also our taste and our sensibility is that
It
we
is, but
see the
like,
process, and I don't think people do that. I think people they see what's on screen, they don't understand the process, they don't have movies are made, they don't see the history behind it, they don't also
but
see.
I don't think we're better movie watchers because we think,
I think we are.
whoa, that
I
was
think we are.
really hard to make. Like, if I go and talk about,
Jay. I'm just going to say this now before you keep stepping
I
your
mean,
foot in
I'm
there.
the ultimate
You're a very
hypocrite
good
in
film
history.
watcher. I don't think that there are a lot of good film watchers sometimes when it comes to older films, and I definitely think people lower their
I think it's about
standards.
the response it
Mm.
elicits naturally,
Yeah.
and I certainly am. I mean, what is the purpose of a long take other than to brag about how hard it was to make, right?
Yeah.
To a certain extent, but as I'm just thinking, and I'm kind of just playing devil's advocate, even to my own
Yeah, I
sensibilities.
know
I'm
you are,
like,
which is like you don't have to
is
do this.
no, but this is actually a very interesting thing to bring up. Like, I'm having a little bit of a crisis right now in this moment, but like,
Sorry I broke you.
Ishtar broke me.
I
It,
know.
it, it did it. But should a movie trying to overplot itself, should I be like, whoa, they were really going for it? And I respect that, even though I think from a narrative perspective, Ishtar is often a failure.
I think because most of the time the other side of the argument is much more vocal than the more, I think, interesting and compassionate side and also curious side of what your and my, tastes are, which is like we love directors getting a chance to make something different, something bold, something unique. It doesn't always have to work. Like this does not work 100%, but there's something within its DNA that I enjoyed and I don't think is terrible. I think that there are problems with it.
No,
It's not a perfect film,
I
but
just think there
it's
are scenes in this movie that are
so
so funny.
funny. And it's so entertaining at times that it's like I can't help but I guess be a softie towards it and be like, well, guess what? It's not the worst movie ever made. It's not one of the 40 worst movies ever made. And here's the thing. I grew up, and you know this because we've done these series or we've talked about these directors before. I've grown up with directors that people turned on and they became the boogeyman of Hollywood. I think a lot of the Wachowskis. I think a lot of M. Night Shyamalan. I think a lot of Gore Verbinski. I think a lot of these directors that we grew up on that were big budget filmmakers and they
I
built
mean,
their,
look, I gave To the Wonder 4.5 stars. So clearly
Terrence Malick as well. That's another person like, I had
Terrence
a,
Malick is just a person making movies unlike anybody else. And I
I,
give him a lot of credit for that.
I do, and I agree with that. But guess what? A lot of people they don't even try to go back to the Wonder after they see it one time. They put 1 star on Letterboxd, say it's trash, and move
Oh,
on
now
with
we're
their
patting
life.
ourselves on the back for
And that's what
being
I.
good at watching movies.
No, I'm just saying. Like I think that that's okay to say. Like I think some people watch it and they don't want to dive into it. They don't want to see
No, I
why
mean
it
that's
worked or
that's
why it didn't
certainly
work. I
true.
think
They
they
don't
see it and they go, bad movie, move on.
well, they
And then
don't
it builds this
view
reputation like
movie
this thing does.
film as really an art form. They view it,
And then that
purely
could
as
be,
pieces of entertainment that they want to
yeah.
watch, especially nowadays, largely passively,
I mean, like that could
and
be
not
like,
really combat with in any,
and these
significant
people
way.
can be anywhere from your average letterbox viewer
God, we're
to
so much better than everybody else.
literally Richard Roper, who's like, this is one of the 40
Oh,
worst
Richard
movies.
Roper, shots fired.
I
He's
mean,
our
he called this one of the
guest
worst.
next week.
When you call, when you call a movie like this one of the 40 worst movies you've ever seen, it does call into question of like, you see probably 40 bad movies a year that are worse, that
Yeah,
aren't,
but then again, there's
that this is
also,
better than that. You know what I mean? And I know
then
it's
you've got your
subjective,
Richard
but
Brodies and your Pauline Kaels, who you're like, these people are clearly exceptionally intelligent, and I think they have very stupid opinions
yeah, I think people, but oh
regularly.
yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, like there are movies I like that I bet you think are
And I
stupid.
do think I think Brody and Kale have contrarian
Yeah.
tendencies.
Well, I think though also too, we've watched enough movies and talked about movies enough in our relationship over the years to be like, there are movies that are clearly like that's a Jay thing, and then there's somewhere like, oh, that's Ryan's movie, and I'm gonna leave that alone. You know what I mean? Like
We
that
do that. I mean,
happens.
we kind of do that once a year. We have a J series and a Ryan series once a
Exactly.
year, basically.
But both of the participants walk out of it pretty happy. I will say,
That is
and
true. I mean, talking to somebody who really loves
it
a
doesn't.
certain sensibility, and it'll make you kind of come around to it a lot of the time. But
But not all swings work. You know, there are times when I say to you, it's a swing, didn't work for me, but I'm glad
yeah,
it exists. And that's an okay thing to say too.
shortcuts. One of
I
my
love Robert
five
Altman,
favorite movies ever made.
and
Ryan thinks it is largely a failure.
I think so. Now, I'd have told Jay I will rewatch it because I love Altman, and he knows that. But I was like, upon first review, I was
It's
like,
really weird how a guy I think is generally pretty smart can be so stupid sometimes.
yeah, Robert Altman, what an idiot.
Hey,
Oh, sorry, you
don't
were
speak
talking
ill
about
of the dead.
you. Well, I mean, you did with like Cormac
Look,
McCarthy. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, I love him. I'm still waiting for The Counselor 2,
I don't know if that's not
written by
coming, buddy.
the ghost of Cormac
Have you
McCarthy.
read those two books that came out a couple years ago from him?
No,
You should really read them. They're great.
interesting.
I think you would love them. Nichols,
Ishtar.
but no, I think back to this. It's a very funny movie. It's built upon the back of these two performers that, we talked a lot about like Hoffman, and his performance in The
The
Graduate.
Graduate. Yeah.
He's a he's a weird guy.
Apparently, Grodin thought he was going to be replaced by Hoffman on The Heartbreak Kid. He
God,
was horrified.
that would have been terrible. That would have been a terrible choice. I'm gonna put that out there.
Well,
That
look,
would
I
have been.
think Grodin should have won Best Actor that year, so I
Well, yeah,
agree with you.
you literally said fuck Marlon Brando. I'm giving it to Grodin.
I think Grodin's performance in The Heartbreak Kid is better than Brando's performance in The Godfather. Sue me.
I actually don't disagree with you on this.
That's no offense to Marlon Brando. It's
Yeah, I mean he still
more
has
a
it.
compliment
Yeah,
to Grodin. I think
God, it's so
Grodin's.
good.
You talk about one of like
Your guys.
your things.
Yeah,
Grodin is my guy.
yeah.
He
Wish
made
it-
me believe that he was so annoyed by that Saint Bernard.
he was so angry over that piece of pie. That was ridiculous. But no, I mean, what do you think of when you think of Hoffman? Like, do you think of him as one of the greats? Because like, or do you think of him? I mean, he's kind of got this persona now. I mean, he's pretty much canceled at this point, right? Like he's
Yeah.
virtually untouched. Like nobody wants to touch him on projects with like a 10-foot pole.
I mean, what was the last big thing he did? I guess it was what was the Baumbach movie?
Oh, the Meyerowitz stories.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be an interesting test
He's
to
been
see.
in stuff. He was in Megalopolis.
That's right. He wasn't. Well, everybody that was canceled was in Megalopolis.
That was
Did you end up seeing it?
I have not seen Megalopolis still,
Still didn't see
which
it?
is insane. Yeah, I need to watch Megalopolis.
I need you to act. Yeah. You know how like for a while I said you needed to watch Amelia Perez,
Uh-huh.
and then you
Now I
watched
need
it,
to watch Megalopolis.
and then you watched it, and you hated it.
I'm glad I watched it though.
I know. Yeah, I know you were
It's a heinous piece of art.
vile, right?
Just absolutely despicable stuff.
Did you? But you loved all the songs.
Oh, I mean, the songs, obviously, God, one of the worst musicals
Do you have a
I've ever
song in it that you liked?
Not truly. There's no song I liked in that musical.
Do you like the first half more than the second half?
No, I think it's all like equally bad.
From the start?
Essentially,
Okay.
yeah,
You,
really. I mean, I think that's pretty consistent. All
do you think it's
credit
mean-spirited?
credit to it.
Do you think it's mean
you
spirited?
know, maintained quality throughout its runtime.
That's fair.
Mean spirited, no, absolutely not. I do not think that movie has any sense of malice to it whatsoever.
But
I,
oblivious.
I, I feel similar to that movie the way I feel about Three Billboards.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Just like somebody
Where it
completely
is
out of
just
their league.
an outsider
Yeah,
trying to reckon with this thing that
they shouldn't touch.
they're
Yeah,
trying to understand but don't fully get a grasp
I agree.
on.
I agree. I think Jay, you win. You win. You get that. You get the points there for that one.
Thank
Good
you so
job.
much.
Megalopolis, though, I have to know what you think. I kind of.
It's actually crazy that I haven't seen it.
I mean,
All I was talking about in early 2024
this
was can't wait for
debunks.
Megalopolis. Can't wait for Megalopolis.
So Jay, this does debunk the whole like, do I give a pass to filmmakers that have these big swings? Because I fucking hated that movie.
Okay.
And it is a big swing. There's no question about it. He's putting all of his money on the line. And still I'm like, no,
Well, I mean, there are,
no,
yeah, to your point, like, I hate Gaspar Noé, and he's taking these crazy swings, and
doesn't work. So it's
I
not everyone. It's
really
not all as
like many
everyone.
of the films of Harmony Korine.
Yeah.
You know, so
You are wild. I don't know if you watched like the last couple of
I have
films that
not
he
watched the
the,
Travis Scott thermal camera movie.
the
I need
baby
to watch
killer
that
one or
one.
whatever that thing was this year too or something. Like I don't remember what
He's
that
got this
was.
like new AI movie coming out. I mean,
Yeah,
look,
it's
I'm not going to defend late Harmony Korine,
sounds
but
like you are.
I think a lot of his, I haven't seen it, but I think a lot of his older stuff, 10 plus years ago was, and The Beach Bum. I love The Beach Bum.
I did like the Beach Bum. That movie's wild. You're a big Spring Breakers guy.
I think Spring Breakers is a
Did you go
straight
to the
up
IMAX?
masterpiece. Yeah. No, I wasn't able to go.
Ah, buddy.
Um,
But Hoffman, I think will probably return because they're talking about making another Fockers movie, and he'll be in that.
is that a thing?
That's a thing. They're gonna make a fourth Fockers movie.
Okay.
We're gonna live in a world where the fourth Fockers movie, when it should
I
have
mean,
just ended after one, maybe
he's
two.
been pretty much out of service
Well, yeah,
since the Mayorowitz
because he's
stories.
a
Yeah.
vile piece of
Except
shit.
for Kung Fu Panda.
Well, yeah, but that's just a voice, I guess, at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's kind of keeping it low. He's sort of semi-retired in a lot of ways.
I mean, look, he's been in a lot of good movies.
Same with Beatty. They're in a lot of great movies. He's also just, I mean,
Beatty
notoriously.
wasn't ever canceled, though, was he?
No, he just was like, man, this guy sleeps around. He's a tomcat. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But I think Annette Bening and him being with her and having a family and doing I'm telling you, the trajectory of Clooney is very much because like Clooney was this guy. He was with all these women. He's with models. He's winning
Yeah, but Clooney was
Oscars.
always kind of like a mensch, though. They were like,
Yeah. Well, I think,
he's a great guy.
well, and everybody did think of that about Beatty. Like Beatty, was with Diane Keaton at a certain
Nicholson
point.
was always kind of like a cad,
There you
you
go.
know.
You know what I mean? But then like no, Beatty got with Annette Bening and they had like a bunch of kids and he settled down and kind of disappeared. And the same thing kind of happened with Clooney for a while. Is like he got married and he had a couple kids and he disappeared and but now
Became very,
Clooney's kind of come
well,
back
became
and
very political, and now he's kind
yeah,
of back into movies a little bit.
well, he's on stage
He
right now
decided to
on
become
Broadway.
a bad director,
Yeah, he's on Broadway
and
right now though. You know what he's
Clooney
doing?
is like, he's a bad director.
You know what he's doing on Broadway?
What's he doing on Broadway?
Good night and good luck.
Oh, interesting.
He's playing Murr. So he's
Oh,
playing
he's
the
pulling okay.
so he's the lead this time now. And he's got that and then
He's
he
a
did
bad director, right?
he had a lot of promise, I thought, with Good Night and Good Luck. If you go back and watch that movie, that's a pretty tight, incredible movie. And I think now he just makes slop. Like it's almost like Redford. Like Redford had
It's not even slop. It's just like
yeah, it is.
generic.
It's slop, like terrible shit. Like it's stuff that the piggies eat. Like
It's not even
there's no
terrible.
substance
It's just
to it.
like utterly uninteresting.
It's like why did you make The Midnight Sky, The Tender Bar, The
The
Boys in
boys
the
in the boat.
Boat?
Ugh.
Like it's more Leatherheads than it is like Ides of March and And
Oh my God, Monuments Man, that movie is so
Ides of
bad.
March, I think, is good, but like that's it's an anomaly. Like Good Night and Good
Ides
Luck
of
is an
March isn't
anomaly.
good.
No, it's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
It's not like it's not
Like Midnight
Leatherheads.
Sky, Tender Bar, Poison the Boat.
Has he got anything else lined up?
Nothing going on right now. It doesn't look like.
He's got like
Wolves was so
so
bad.
bad. He said, you know, I think he's
Oh, he's in the next Baumbach movie. I forgot about that.
yeah, it's him and Sandler.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
What a
Is
cast.
Greta in that?
Yes, she is.
Who else is in that thing?
Clooney, Sandler, Dern, Crudup, Riley Keough, Jim Broadbent,
Oh,
Isla Fisher, Greta Gerwig, Emily Mortimer, Patrick Wilson,
oh,
Josh Hamilton.
wow. This is good.
It's a crew.
By the way,
That's a Netflix film, I believe.
yeah. By the way, Greta, I know you're making all the movies. Don't forget, you're a great actress too.
She is.
I love her. Did you like White Noise?
I loved White Noise.
Yeah, me too. Talk about again, a swing, which is very rare for him
I mean,
for
look, his
Baumbach to do.
problem is that he hasn't made a movie not for Netflix in a decade.
Who Baumbach.
Baumbach.
Well, I feel like for a long time he's been trying to just be like the new Woody Allen instead of just make some things that are your own and interesting. And I thought White Noise was kind of that. So I hope and I like
I thought White
Marowitz.
Noise was really good. If you walk up to 50 people on the street
They've
and you
never
ask
seen it.
them, what did you think of White Noise? They would say, what the hell are you talking about?
They'd also be like, get away from me.
Yeah.
Stranger. Anyway, Ishtar. Um, I mean, this movie, Jay, if you do you want to talk about the behind the scenes stuff a little bit more about it and the real in depth? I know that
I
I mean,
mean, look,
there's a reason why it has its reputation for what it is, right?
and I think it largely has to do with things unrelated to what actually ended up on screen. It is a film where Warren Beatty and Elaine May ended up fighting, even though they had a great relationship going into the film. It was a movie that went double its proposed budget. Um, it's a film that I think a lot of executives in Hollywood resented at the time, and they wanted to kind of make an example of this film and therefore Elaine May. Um, and the editing process was fraught, as many of Elaine May's editing processes are. Um, and then I honestly don't know that it's as interesting behind the scenes as kind of its reputation, but it's, I don't know. Hoffman was thorny. Beatty was thorny. They're filming on location
In the
in the
desert,
Middle East. Coca-Cola is producing this movie and it convinces them to get out of the movie business. They owned Columbia. Columbia was owned by Coca-Cola, by the way, when this movie came out, and then they sold to Sony.
suck on that Pepsi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they were like, oh, movies are not for us, which
What
honestly,
other what
more
other
conglomerates should get out of the movie business.
who's that taking a shot at? Is that like
Everyone, AT&T, you know, all of these companies tried to do this for a while. Chick-fil-A has a streaming service now. So
what
you didn't know that?
the fuck are you talking about?
All right, let me get into this.
Now you've got to Google this. You cannot say a statement like this and think I'm not going to ask you the question that I'm going to ask you now. What junk do they produce?
It's called Chick-fil-A Play.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Um,
Probably like faith-based bullshit.
oh yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it's a bunch of crap. Though I do like look, I know that they are terrible
Legends
people.
of Evergreen Hills.
Sure.
That appears to be one of their more popular
Gotta tell you,
programs.
I know Chick-fil-A is terrible, but
They make some good
they
food.
make some good food.
It's delicious. I eat
quality.
there very regularly.
Well, I'm not as regular as Jay because, well, I mean, you're probably
I've
more
got
regular than it.
one right down the street.
Well, also like Atlanta's the
Atlanta
headquarters
is
of
this is a
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A hub.
Yeah, that's like me not going to Whataburger.
I could
You know what I
get
mean?
a franchise if I wanted to. I'm pretty confident.
You think you could run a Chick-fil-A?
I think I could run a Chick-fil-A
you do give the you give off the vibes of somebody that would run a
I'm sure
Chick-fil-A.
if our friend Josh Parham was here, he would
He'd be like, "Oh
really
yeah,
have
you're."
something to say about me running a Chick-fil-A.
He'd be like, "Uh-huh. And who are you hiring? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry,
Man,
Jay.
when Josh said I look like a Daily Wire contributor, that was truly that was a low point for me.
Would you wear your puka shells?
I mean, that was another one. Robert Daniels saying I look like I should wear a puka shell necklace. What am I doing wrong, Ryan? Like what is going on?
I'm gonna tell you that lighting in your office is not flattering to you, buddy. Because if you have
This
a
one
tan,
now, because I've changed my thing now. Is
it's
this
never looked
better?
good in that basement. You gotta show off a tan. You gotta help me out
Well,
because
right. Well, here's the
this
problem.
is like watching a Twilight vampire right now. You're glistening.
I had a skin spot. I'm not allowed to tan anymore.
I know. So now you're like can't go out, can't go out and
Uh,
about.
I'm doomed.
You're
Think I should
doomed.
do like
You look like the Harkonnens in Dune. It's rough.
that is a little much. Should I do like a spray tan?
Well, I'm just saying you look like Austin Butler. Like that's a compliment, actually, more than anything else.
That's a good point.
It's not like I'm telling you you look like the Baron. What kind of a monster you think I am? There you go. And now he's
I'm
floated
floating.
away.
I'm
He's floated
floating
away.
like
I
Baron
can't.
Harkonnen.
There you go.
Do you say
Um,
Harkonnen or Harkonnen? What do they say in the Villeneuve movies? Do they do Harkonnen? And in the Lynch movie, they did Harkonnen? Or
I
is it
feel
the
like
opposite?
I feel like it goes back and forth between who's the actor.
I think they chose one for the Villeneuve.
What do you say? It doesn't matter. It's tomato tomato. Who gives a
It
shit?
doesn't matter. Who cares? Ishtar.
Ishtar.
Um,
What was your question that you just asked like a moment ago before we got caught up in that?
I don't remember. What's the best scene in Ishtar?
Um, well, okay. So the scene where they're trying to get the camel to move,
I was gonna
um,
say it's the scene where the camel
and
is
they're
in
like
the
yelling at
market.
the yeah
Yeah.
that or like out in the desert where they're trying to like get the camel to move for their own safety as the guns are about to go
Honestly,
off.
what you're saying is the camel's the
The
best part.
camel stuff is just
The
incredible
camel
here.
is the star of the show.
Um, I think even though it's deeply problematic, but the first encounter between Warren Beatty and Isabella Adjani is really funny. Of thinking like that she's a boy, and then like when he gives her money, he goes, "Here, go buy yourself a little something. You're like 15 years old. You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't be doing a
That's really
business
good.
like this. It's really funny." And then he like are those boobs? It's very funny. I think the final
Isabella Adjani, of course, dating Warren Beatty at the time.
yes, I think she's. It feels like she's mostly ADRing her performance throughout this.
There's a
Um,
lot of ADR
there's
in
a
this
lot of
movie.
ADR in this
Yeah.
movie. There's a lot of ADR like we talked about in Mikey and Nikki too. Like there's a lot of that.
Honestly, you know what's another one of the best scenes in the movie is when
Mm,
Dustin Hoffman says, "This couple was here a year ago, and I told him I'd write him a song.
yes.
I'm leaving some love in my will."
And now they're back for their 53rd anniversary.
Incredible.
So good. Um,
All the music in this
all the music's great. I
movie
think the final
is
performance
fantastic.
and
Oh, it's
and
so good.
and the general looking like what the fuck is going on? Like
Oh
it's
my
so
God. What is this for peace in the Middle
Middle
East? Oh
East.
my God. Is it even worth it?
And
Get
then
me out of
like the
here.
shot of Isabel Johnny being like, "Oh my god, I love these guys. Like I get them." And
I mean, there are
it's
there's so
so
many
funny
good
because
ones.
it's like it's like when you go it weirdly is like watching like Weird Al Yankovic.
These guys are so
Like
pathetic.
like
Yeah,
these
they
are
are.
like it's like why are these people considered talented
And
but
then they
to a
have
certain
like
niche?
beautiful girlfriends at the beginning of the movie, and they're like, "No, this is more important." I mean, obviously, we're
And
making incredible art.
I
And
can't
then he
leave him
almost jumps
alone.
off a building,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Man, you're so great, though. I mean, what are you? You have so much to live for." And he's like, I lived with my parents till I was 32, and I believe what Beatty says is, it takes a lot of nerve for a guy to have nothing. I mean, it's so good. The
There,
cleverness of May's writing is
that's the thing. It's like
sort of unmatched.
anytime
And it's
this,
one of those things where it's like you don't realize it's a joke until 8 seconds afterwards.
that's the beauty of her as a writer. And then there's also like, you know, I mean, like there is the funny thing of like when I will say one of the funnier moments is like when the agent tells him like, "I'll tell you what I told Tony Bennett: sing songs people already know. That way, they still have something to applaud." Then they start singing some songs that people know, and the reaction shot to him in the audience of being like, "This is not what I fucking meant. Like this is even worse than what your original songs were." Is so funny to me. It's just like these guys, you know,
But then the Grodin too,
stupid
who's,
ass camel.
sort
You
of
might as
the,
well. You rather sit here and die. Well, you know what? I kind of admire that. Me
I
too. You
mean,
know, it's like
this idea of find Muhammad, like go find Muhammad and he'll know what to do.
Muhammad. Oh, thank God, I got you on the first
Oh yeah.
thing.
Well, what do you give me? $150 a week. But you can't put a price on democracy.
But you can't put it in. It's so good. There's so many lines, and what's so great is these two, Hoffman and Beatty, are just so effortless in giving them. Now, of course, this movie, politically speaking, doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like this movie is like all over the place in terms of what it's trying to say and its messaging and everything. And
I don't know that it is
and
not
it also kind of feels
centralized. It's just not sharp.
no, it's not sharp.
It's
It
pretty
doesn't.
broad.
Yeah. Also, I love like the chase scene in the market. Like there's it's very ridiculous that like every single intelligence agency is after him, and that was kind of funny too. Of like, I wish it was a little bit more absurd when it came to that. Of like, kind of like the fact that like we have thousands of agents. It feels like at any country, and we're like always around there and have this weird presence. The idea that like Hoffman and Grodin are having a talk about the CIA and becoming like a spy
Mhm.
against Warren Beatty over a candlelight dinner.
I mean, that's
Really,
pretty good. But
it's
then there are
pretty good.
scenes,
It's pretty funny.
where you have, Grodin Harrison with the Amir of Ishtar. And it's like, this is a very long scene and it is
They're
not
very
very
long,
funny.
and they're also not getting to anything. And Grodin's actually not funny in any of that. It's very straight man in that,
He's
and
funny in the movie, I think, but
oh,
I have a weakness for Grodin.
he's funny when he's with these guys or he's not doing that. But when he's having to like talk
He's
exposition,
the straight man, but when he's talking to another straight man, it's not that funny.
no, it's not.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you're having to fill
When
in
he's
the
talking
gaps between the ridiculousness.
idiots.
Yeah, when he's talking to these morons, it's funny.
Yeah.
When he's trying to like stretch the movie out, and then maybe that's the problem. Maybe it should have just been like I watched the director's cut because that's the only one that you can
That's the
find.
only one you can watch. I don't think it's that different.
Okay, I think it's
My
like
understanding is that it's 2 minutes. I can't remember if it's 2 minutes longer or 2 minutes shorter. Two
I think
minutes
it's like
shorter
2 minutes shorter. Yeah,
than the theatrical release.
but yeah, I mean, like I don't really know where their whole like by the end of it I kind of just like, well, these two guys like they really solve
And then when you
anything.
get to the helicopter chase and stuff like that, you're sort of like, all right,
Yeah, but
let's
then
wrap
like
it up.
the movie weirdly it's just like if you just see it as a fish out of water, these two guys get into some dumb trouble. They didn't really solve anything in the
Oh, a lot
Middle
of that
East.
plot, it's
Yeah,
very clever a lot of the time. And other
yeah,
times it's just like you're getting lost in the messaging,
yeah.
which isn't as
Well, we're talking about more
smart
about
as you
themes and we're
think it
getting away
is.
from these
Yeah.
two and their experience inside the and in
It feels like a theme first movie, which
yeah,
I'm not sure any of the other. It seems like the three other Elaine May films, and I think this is her worst film. I still think it's very good. I don't think she
yes, this
ever
is her
made
worst
anything
film.
less than
Yeah.
a very good film. Um, but it feels like the first three films were very character first, and this feels like it stemmed from a political idea, and they sort of reverse engineered it from there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. It feels much more artificial than her other movies, which I think makes it the lesser of her four films.
No, I agree. I feel like the movie's the movie's trying too much, Jay. And that's
It's
okay.
trying very hard.
And also like I feel for her a little bit. Like I do. Like I mean, to not make a movie in 11 years, to not be able to be given the pass that others, have gotten, and her having to sort of struggle with that. And then I mean, like, she's not she doesn't conform to social norms. She doesn't conform to
Anything.
anything.
That was her strength and her weakness.
Yeah. And so, like, she's gonna kind of, a director like this, and she's gonna live and die by um she's gonna live and die by her ways. You know what I mean?
She is a
And
hard-headed genius.
yeah, and that's like the thing that
Honestly, if we're
I
doing
love about her so much.
let's talk about the Nichols and May thing. I think Elaine May was probably more of a singular visionary genius than Nichols, but May was so unwilling to bend that it cost her a more prolific career. Can you see that?
Yeah, I mean, like, again, it goes back to, I think,
Mike Nichols made Wolf, you know,
he did make Wolf, but he also made Working Girl.
but Working Girl is sort of a job for hire thing too.
Yeah.
I just think Elaine May, you watch every Elaine May film and you're like, nobody could have made this but Elaine May, you know? And even the Mike Nichols movies I love, like The Birdcage, I feel as much May in that movie as Nichols. And I love that movie. That's one of my favorite Mike Nichols movies, but it feels like he is a piece of the puzzle a lot of the time and not necessarily the thrust of it. And that has a lot to do with the fact that Elaine May largely wrote her own films, and if she didn't get credited for the screenplay, she still had a lot to do with what was going on screen. But Nichols, especially once he had a couple flops, he sort of figured out that there's a way to have a career that doesn't require you to have entire control over the production. And Elaine May was just never willing to give that up.
I feel that with Nichols, the thing about him, Jay, for me
He's
at
also a
least,
man, which helped.
I think I large part think that that's just the short answer of it, of that he's a man, and men are given statistically throughout the time
And to be
more
clear,
sharp.
Nichols a real proponent of women in
Oh,
film
he totally
on
was.
screen and behind
He's
the
not the
scenes.
problem here. It's
No, no, no.
it's the studio system at large, but it does benefit a man like that. And he also, when the 90s came around and he needed a hit, who did he turn to? He turned to Elaine May. He turned to her a lot of times off screen, and he
Birdcage is
turned to
so
her a
good.
lot on screen towards
Yeah.
the end of their career. So, and that's the other thing, is that Nichols lived and died a lot by, he lived a lot by the screenplay, and a lot by the actors and the strength of a script. And we talked about that a lot during those series. It's like the power of his script, and he was able to elevate that. But he did have an eye at one point. Like, his sense of vision of direction early in his career was very good. But yes, he did have flops, and he kind of had to conform in a lot of ways. And that made him workable. And he mostly hit things on budget. Whether those things came back from box office returns or not, Jay, like, if every one of your movies is a fucking struggle to make,
Yeah.
it's probably going to mean that, like, that's happened a little bit with like Freakin'
Movie,
little too, where like if you have
yes, for sure.
a personality that rubs the wrong way and you're not able to play enough of the game, your shots at the poker table are going to be lessened. You know what I mean?
This movie came out the same year as Predator. This cost 3 times as much as Predator.
What do you think? Ishtar better than Predator?
They're both really good. No, Predator is better than Ishtar.
Predator's better. Predator. Oh man,
They're both really good though.
is that
Predator rocks.
McTiernan?
McTiernan. Yeah.
He he's an interesting director.
He I think he's made a lot of bad movies, but
But he's made some good ones.
he's also made some really good movies.
Yeah.
He made a
Yeah,
film
man.
called Die Hard.
Is that any good?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's kind of forgotten. I don't think it had much influence, but if you can find it, I think you should check it out.
Do you think Die Hard? I'm going to ask you it. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Oh my God, we're not doing this. I'm not, absolutely not. Nope.
Nope. You're
Not
going to
gonna do
answer
it.
it. You're going to
No.
answer it. Nope. You're going to answer it.
Yes, it's a Christmas movie.
Thank you. Was that so hard?
It honestly was kind of
Are you mad that asked you that question?
a little bit.
A question that I've never asked you in 8 years of doing all this?
Have you not?
I've never asked you this.
I guess not. Okay. Carry on. Ishtar.
So, Ishtar, great movie. A lot of fun. Well, it's not a great movie. It's a good movie. I don't
I
want
think
to
it's a
say.
very good movie.
Well, you dropped it in your letterbox rating.
I did. I had it at 4.5. I dropped it to 4.
Solid 4.
It's like a rock solid. It's a 4 plus. How about that?
So like a 4.25.
No, because I would round to a 4.5, 4.24,
4.24. Oh, okay.
so
Oh,
that it
wait.
doesn't round to a 4.5.
Oh, because then you'd round it what? A
If you're going
4.25 is.
quarter, if you're going quarter stars,
Oh, you're going quarter
I
stars.
mean, I guess you could go 4.25
Four and a
stars.
quarter. I kind of feel like at times you need those on there. I don't feel like the halves are good enough. I feel like giving a
Hey,
four
you
and a
want to
half.
go out of 10?
Yeah, I
10,
do.
10 with
Yeah.
halves?
I think tens with halves is good.
That is a little much.
That's why I like letter grades. I think letter grades are good.
I prefer stars. You don't have to get as minute, I don't think. I
No,
don't
I
know. I mean,
know.
I think it's a really good movie. I love watching it
Yeah, me too.
most of the time.
Anything else you want to say about the film itself, Jay?
Oh boy. Anything else about the film specifically? I mean, I guess we need to give Elaine May credit. We said there was an 11-year gap in films. Again, she got an Oscar nom for Heaven Can Wait. She is credited in many ways for being the savior of Reds. She
Yeah.
was a huge piece of Tootsie, of writing Tootsie.
Yep.
She was an uncredited writer on Labyrinth. You know, she was doing stuff and she continued to do
She
stuff.
made
She got
money.
a
She
she got
made
a
her footprint on things.
she got an Oscar nomination later for Primary Colors, which we talked about
Should
in
have
the
got
Nichols
nominated.
series.
Should have got nominated for the Birdcage.
That is absurd
That's
that she didn't get
fucking
nominated for the
ridiculous. Like
Birdcage.
I know we talked about it with Eric, but it was like
Yeah.
in hindsight, how does that screenplay not get nominated for an Academy Award? It kind of then makes your point an evergreen statement that the Oscars are stupid when you don't have a movie like that get nominated in screenplay because it's so quotable and so funny and honestly is in a lot of ways because she's working with Nichols who has to deal with mostly
It feels like such a great narrative to get an Oscar
it
nomination.
does but also too like it's a great kind of comeback to the screen for her in a lot of
Mhm.
ways and working with Nichols and making a big commercial film with big movie stars and her dialogue is the reason that movie outside of the
I wonder
performance is
if
sing.
I wonder if Hollywood people just didn't
Do
like
you
her
think there
that
was
much at that time.
do you think there was a little bit of like a Everglow like you know how there's Everglow nominations and like people get nominated like you know back to back years or whatever. Do you think there was like a little bit of like
It might have
oh
been
yeah, but she's
Ishtar
still
Stank.
yeah, she's oh, it's great, but she still did Ishtar.
I think it might have been a small part of it.
Yeah.
And
So
sometimes it's those little things that prevent you from getting a nom.
God, it's gonna be so sad that she's not gonna make another movie. You know, we talked about like
I really don't think that movie's going to get made.
no.
She is 92.
You know, I'm usually a more optimistic person around here
Yeah.
and telling you, oh, that's gonna get made or that you know, because like Jay infamously told me that the second part for Dune was not going to get made, and then it got made.
I did say that.
And then
I
now,
still don't think Heat 2 is going to get made.
you really gonna make me go on a limb on that one?
Didn't we already do this in
I do kind of think it's going to happen.
well,
Where
We'll
there's a
see.
where there's a Michael Mann, there's a
if you can
way.
get it, if you can get the talent,
Yeah, he's got to have a
maybe
good
it can
cast
happen.
behind him.
Although Driver was sort of the
Where's
Driver could
Driver
get-
going?
Driver could get anything made for a while, and that well dried up pretty quick when he started making movies that absolutely tanked.
Driver,
Love Driver, but
I love Driver. I think he's still a very interesting actor.
he really did take advantage of his Star Wars clout from an artistic perspective. But I kind of think his clout is fading.
Yeah, I think so.
And
But
then when he tried to do a big stupid blockbuster, he did that dinosaur movie. What was that called? Like 42 or something? No, that was the Jackie Robinson movie.
45,
40 something.
36.
That would have been pretty weird if it was the same title as the Jackie Robinson movie.
God damn it. I don't know. You know, you could look this up.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
It was like from the Quiet Place guys, like the writers of the Quiet Place,
Oh, is that right?
right? Am I wrong?
I thought that was from visionary John Krasinski.
Well, yeah, he directed it, but they wrote the film.
65.
65. I knew it was something. Yeah, it's like
Mhm.
the movie about retirement, even though it's like, you know,
Scott Beck, Brian Woods. They wrote the film A Quiet Place.
there you go. Didn't they do something else recently too? Outside of that, they did
To
65,
be
and
clear, John Krasinski also has a screenplay credit.
that's fair. Didn't they do 65 and then they did like another movie just like a year ago or something?
They wrote did they direct? They directed Heretic.
That's right.
Wrote and directed Heretic.
A goodish movie
A movie I think is pretty fun and extremely stupid.
and has a great Hugh Grant performance
Hugh
inside of
Grant
it.
absolutely puts that thing on his shoulders. Although
Yeah. I think the second act of that movie
I think
kills its
both
momentum, but
the female leads, Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, I think are very good in that
they're
too.
very good too. I think that it's a movie that has like a great buildup, and then its
Hmm.
landing is a bit of a mess. But I
Really rooting
enjoy
for
the
that Chloe East.
yeah, she's pretty good.
Fablemans.
Yeah, she's great in The Fableman. She's great in that movie too. But Grant's
Yeah, she's good.
but
I
Grant's the
I
one that's just delivering left and right
she
in
I
that
think
movie.
Sophie Thatcher is really good in that movie too.
Yeah, but it's a great performance chamber piece, but really just wish it would have stuck the landing and been far more interesting than it ended up being in the end. But no, I'm bummed about that. This is going to be the last time we. I mean, it might not be the last time we talk about Elaine May ever, but a film
It's the
by Elaine
last
May.
film, at
You
least
know,
as of now. Who knows?
I mean, I would love to be
She's
wrong,
92 and reclusive and hasn't made a movie in 40 years.
and we
I
need
think,
insurance money out the wazoo to make it.
yeah,
So
it's gonna need something like Paul Thomas Anderson, maybe sort of ghost directing a Prairie Home Companion
it's gonna need like a miracle.
to get made.
It's like I said before. I think like Greta's the answer. Like if Greta just stopped making Narnia for a couple months and said, "I'll help Elaine out," because it needs a. I kind of feel like they'll need a brand name to do it, and but then again, who's going to give her the money to do it? Like what
I think
studio is going to?
Friedkin even had a lot of trouble, and he was
Yeah, Del
several years
Toro.
older than. Is that what it? I remember there's somebody. Is Del Toro kind of did the Cane Mutiny?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
who helped him out. He was like, I didn't really do much. I just sat back and watched William freaking direct. And it was like I think that was a very quick shoot. It was like 15 days or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. She
Because
needs an
that's a
advocate.
play. You know what I mean? So like they were very quick to be able to just
But I
churn
bet
that out.
you, I bet you Elaine May is still like, I need Final
Oh,
Cut.
she's got it.
I
Yeah.
need 45
She's gonna be
days. I
feisty
need.
about it. But honestly, like if it's her last film, just give it to her.
I wonder if she could do something for the Chick-fil-A streaming service.
God damn it. All right. Jay,
Yeah, man.
before we get out of here,
Can't believe it's over.
we're gonna test your award season knowledge based on the film we just reviewed, Ishtar. And a segment we like to call It's an Honor to Get Nominated. Now, Jay, usually this is a pretty tough task, but I think you know the outcome of this movie.
Best Picture, two Best Actors, Director, Screenplay.
How many Oscars did Ishtar get nominated for?
Nothing.
Yeah, which is, I mean, is what it is. But it was nominated for something, Jay.
Razzie.
Yes, sir. It was nominated for the Razzie. And do you know what it was up against? or what it was nominated for at the Razzies is a real good question.
I believe director was one of them.
Yes, that is correct.
Picture?
Hang on, I want to double check this and just make sure that I'm reading the correct Razzies. Yes, it was nominated. It was not nominated for actor. It was nominated for worst picture,
Picture, director.
picture director. Yes,
I don't know what else. I don't even know what the other
it
categories
was
of the
the
Razzies
winner
are.
of worst director,
Direct. I knew that. I knew that it won worst director.
and it was also nominated for worst screenplay.
Okay.
They
I didn't
didn't
even
do
know the Razzies went that deep.
that usually don't. Norman Mailer also tied with Elaine May for Tough Guys Don't Dance. The screenplay, I'm pulling this up for worst screenplay, went to Leonard Part 6, which went to Jonathan Reynolds and Bill Cosby. Worst actor went to Bill Cosby. And Leonard Part 6 also won worst film.
That's very cool.
Cosby was the first person ever to accept their Razzie Award, Jay.
Nice.
To which then he went on and did a lot of other shitty
What's he done
things.
since then?
Ooh, Bill Cosby?
Yeah.
I don't know,
He
Jay.
had a sitcom.
Yeah, sitcom, right? A couple
Yeah. I believe
sitcoms.
he's rotting away in jail now.
Yeah, no, he's not in jail.
Is he out of jail?
Yeah, remember that? Do you not remember it all got like thrown out?
Haven't really been keeping up. Gotta be honest.
So Cosby's not in jail. Weinstein's not in jail, or Weinstein is in jail. Yeah,
Weinstein is in jail.
yeah, they're doing the trial still. Yeah. But yeah, Cosby was like, is he like fully exonerated, or
Oh,
he just found
conviction
guilty, or did he
overturned.
conviction overturned? Yeah, for like it was a technicality, I believe, and everything. Anyway, yeah, giant piece of shit, and they decided to nominate him at the same time, not knowing obviously any of the shit that would come out. But in hindsight, it looks really bad that they put Elaine May up against Bill Cosby in that year for a truly calamitous film.
You know what? I'm gonna give Bill Cosby a Razzie for being a person.
Is there like a lifetime achievement Razzie for worst person? Because then he could probably win that. Like, you know how like they have the honorary Oscars, they should have honorary Razzies.
Like the Nobel Violence Prize.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, would you nominate Ishtar for any Oscars, Jay?
Uh
Do you want to know what came out this year?
oh.
This is the year in 1988, the films of 1987. This was the year of Best Picture went to The Last Emperor.
Okay.
Hope and Glory was nominated, as well as Moonstruck, Fatal Attraction, and one of Jay's favorite films,
Oh,
Broadcast
BCast
News.
News.
Best Actor, if you were looking to put in either Hoffman or Beatty, was Michael Douglas for Wall Street, William Hurt, Broadcast News, Marcello Mastroianni for Dark Eyes, Jack Nicholson for Ironweed, and Robin Williams for Good Morning Vietnam.
I haven't seen a couple of those. And
We've seen
I
Wall
don't
Street.
feel I've seen Wall Street. Meh.
It's kind of meh.
I don't feel passionately enough to like stump for put the Ishtars over the ones I haven't seen. Um,
Wouldn't put Beatty in.
it's, I mean, I
You don't have
if
to.
I watched them,
Sure.
you know, I might. Um, I could see screenplay. I think screenplay is totally valid. A Ridge screenplay over, I don't know. Again, haven't seen some of these. I feel like people don't like Radio Days that much.
I haven't seen Radio Days.
Get it out of here. Put Ishtar in.
Put Ishtar in. All right, we'll do that. And that's, I mean, I wouldn't really put Ishtar up for anything and have to do the whole exercise.
I could do screenplay. I could see myself putting it in screenplay if I saw all of those
It
movies.
would be original.
A Ridge.
Yeah, I'd probably get out like Hope and Glory. Yeah, you know what? And throw Woody Allen
Whoa,
out.
I did not know David Byrne co-wrote the score for The Last Emperor.
Yeah, he got an Oscar for it.
That's pretty, that rocks. Haven't seen that movie.
You haven't seen that one? It's on Criterion. Don't you own it?
I gotta see that. I might.
It's on
I
the
don't
wall.
know. Bertolucci.
Yeah, it's an interesting film.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest, but it's not bad.
That was one of those like we can finally film in China movies, right?
Yes,
I think so.
I don't think that that's like it's called Arm, but sure.
No, I think it was like a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did well at the Oscars. Haven't seen it in a long time.
It did. Big deal movie.
Yeah. Jay, that's the end of our Elaine May series.
Can't believe it. We did it.
We did it, buddy. Super sad.
Short
Short.
for old Elaine May.
Do you want to do the rankings?
Yeah, we got to rank our Mays, and then I've got a unfair challenge to do after we rank our Mays.
You have an unfair challenge to me?
A rude challenge for both of us to do after we rank our Mays.
Oh, man, I'm really
Yes, Elaine May for me. Number 4, Ishtar. Number 3, A New Leaf. Number 2, Mikey and Nikki. Number 1, The Heartbreak Kid.
Number 4 is Ishtar.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is Mikey and Nikki.
Okay.
Number 2 is A New Leaf, and number 1 is Heartbreak Kid.
Oh, you went Heartbreak Kid? I was wondering if you were
switching
going to
it
go
up.
New Leaf number 1.
Trying to keep you on your toes around here.
Okay, so now the rude challenge is rank Nichols and May. Give me top 5 Nichols and May.
Oh, shoot. Well, I'm going to need you to go first again.
I'll go first.
I'm sorry, buddy. I love you, but I've got to now strategize.
I'm not sure I have it final. I'm gonna go 1 to 5 just because I think it's easier to do that way. My number 1 is The Graduate.
Okay.
My number 2 is The Heartbreak Kid. My number 3 is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. My number 4 is The Birdcage, and my number 5 is Mikey and Nikki.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
My number 5 is A New Leaf.
I feel like you gotta have Working Girl in there.
Working Girl's number 6.
Okay.
4 is The Birdcage.
Man, we have an almost identical 5, don't we?
3 is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Number 2 is Heartbreak Kid. Number 1 is The Graduate.
Number 2 is The Graduate.
Ooh, you're going Heartbreak Kid over The Graduate.
And Heartbreak Kid number 1. Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's sort of a 1A, 1B situation.
Mm-hmm.
After we talked about that with Jake, I kind of weirdly feel like they swim in the similar pond.
They do.
But-
They are two sides of the
And
same
they're
coin.
I don't think one should exist without the other in terms of conversation. But there's just something about what May is doing there in that film. It should be just as revolutionary and talked about as something that is revolutionary, like The Graduate. And I love The Graduate. That's Nichols's best
Fortunately,
film.
it was bought by a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah, but I think both films are genius, perfect films. And I wish I had a physical copy of Heartbreak Kid in good condition so then I could watch these. I think that they would be a fascinating piece to write about or to study in classes.
It is crazy. I'm
And-
like ecstatic that I got to see it in
I know.
16
It will be one of those
millimeter
things. Yeah,
with tinny audio. I was like, whoa,
I-
what an incredible experience.
if I ever get the chance to see that on a big screen, I will not hesitate to go see it. It is one of those I will
Even if
drop
it's on
it.
VHS.
I don't give a shit how I would
I
want
know.
to see that movie. That, it's, and it was a first time watch. So maybe a little bit of recency bias for me, but I don't know.
No, it's a revelation.
I
mean,
kind of
it's
find it a
masterpiece.
revelation. Yeah. I'm kind of shocked you didn't put it at your number 1. To be fair,
I love The Graduate, man.
I know, but like Heartbreak Kid's like one of your top whatever films too.
Top comedies, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good exercise to
It's
do.
rude to both of
It's
them, but
rude to them, but they also
yeah,
have been. This is the reason why we did this series also too, is to
yeah.
tie because they're
We,
tied
we had a we
together.
had a hook. We
They're
had a
best
gimmick.
friends. We're never, I don't think that they would, you know, you can't tell the history of either one of their stories without
We should have
talking
had
about the other.
10 Elaine May movies.
We should have just as many Elaine May movies as we did Mike Nichols films because there's some
Well,
dogs in there that I
Mike
had to
Nichols could
watch.
have had, a little more. He could have been a little more selective, to be honest.
He could have been. He could
We
have
should have
been.
maybe had more Elaine May movies and less Mike Nichols movies.
Correct. I think like a
Maybe
good
that's what should have
average
happened.
medium between the two
Get
of
them
like
both at like
12.
14.
Yeah.
12 to 14.
Yeah. And then we would have like had half of our year covered, which would have
Yes.
honestly been very fascinating to do.
Yeah.
Jay, like I said, that is it for our Mike Nichols, Elaine May collaboration for the first part of this year.
Hmm.
We now shift to an entirely different era for our next movie series. We shift to a more modern time,
Oh, yeah.
and we are going to do something here that kind of feels more like, I guess, a Ryan special, I guess you could say, right?
This I would say, yes, is a Ryan trying to
Just
convince Jay
this is a
series.
desire of mine. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Jay and I have known each other close to a decade. It is time to do the films of, I think, a very important filmmaker in our adolescence and lifetime. We are going to do the films of one Mr. Peter Jackson. And that means that Jay finally has to sit down
It's a lot of Middle Earth.
and watch the films that are called
We're
Lord of
going
the
to
Rings.
Hobbiton.
We're going to Hobbiton. I think he's going to be very excited about this process. He has been with me. He's going to get in super prepared mode. I believe you said you're going to read the books
That is the
or
plan.
and you're going to watch both the extended and the theatrical editions of the Lord of the Rings films.
I will only watch the theatrical versions of the Hobbit films,
That's
but
fair.
yes, I
Yes,
will be watching both versions of the original Lord of the Rings trilogy.
now I want to let the listeners know just out now, and we will mention this next week on Heavenly Creatures, which will be the first episode in our series. When we are discussing the Lord of the Rings films, we will be talking extensively about those films. We
We're
will be
doing the
talking
extended
about
cuts.
the extended cuts.
I
Yes.
feel like those have kind of become the definitive versions for the real heads.
Now, many of you are wondering, how far are you boys willing to go down the Peter Jackson rabbit hole? Well, much like what we did with Mike Nichols, we will have a bonus episode that will cover the Hobbit films in their entirety rather than giving an individual episodes to those three films.
The Hobbit trilogy, I believe, is significantly longer than
Lord of the Rings.
no, not Lord of the Rings. The
Then Angels in America.
than Angels in
Yes.
America. Yes.
Yes, we will be. Yeah, we will be having to struggle through
Yeah.
those films, but we will be doing individual episode reviews of all of his, from Heavenly Creatures all the way up to The Lovely Bones.
Are we covering everything? I don't think we're covering
I think there's one film in there that we're not covering. We're doing Heavenly Creatures, The Frighteners, 3 Lord of the Rings films, King Kong. Why did I almost say Kingdom?
No, you're right. We are covering that whole run then.
That whole run there, and then The Lovely Bones. And we will have the bonus episode.
There are a couple before Heavenly Creatures.
Yes, that we will talk about next week when we do our intro into the series. And we'll do that Hobbit episode as a bonus episode before our next series. I'm super excited
Can't
about
wait
this, Jay.
for that.
Are you excited about this, Jay?
I am excited. If sort of some background, I did not grow up a Lord of the Rings guy, big Harry Potter guy. Lord of the Rings, not totally my bag. So we'll see if they sort of
Convert you.
become my bag. We'll see if I become, a hairy-footed convert.
Well, and in the past, when we were at the old show, we did the Wachowskis,
Mhm.
and we did a very big trilogy there, which was the Matrix trilogy. We did Gore Verbinski. We did the Pirates trilogy for that series.
Hmm.
And these are, our era was sort of dominated by these blockbuster trilogies. And no bigger blockbuster trilogy of the early 2000s is that of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and it
And
has sustained, and it's sort of, it's not quite to the extent of when I forced you to cover James Cameron, and you truly did not like James Cameron. You were straight up like, I think this guy is
a
kind of a
hack.
hack. I do
Yeah.
not like him. And then you saw the light. I am not quite to the level of, I think the Lord of the Rings movies are bad. I'm just sort of in my memory. I have not watched them since high school.
You're a little agnostic
I
to
am,
them.
yes, that is exactly right. I am pretty indifferent on the Lord of the Rings films. So we will see if I fully come around on them. I like to think I'm a more mature movie viewer than the last time I watched them when I was in, again, high school. Um, but we will see. Maybe I'll hate them.
Will be really rough
What
episodes
if
for
I
you.
hated
If
them?
that'll be some really rough three
Be a
weeks
lot
for
of
you.
time spent on something I hate.
I think that this has been a long overdue process for you.
Agreed.
I have been waiting for this for a long time. I purposefully wanted this on the calendar. I literally forced this into
Yeah,
existence.
let's be good. I'm pumped to watch King Kong as well.
I am pumped to watch that as well too. It's been a while. I'm pumped for just to kind of tease that there's a big guest coming on for that episode at this time, and
Yeah,
I'm hoping that we're
we'll
able to make those
see
schedules
if it
align.
ends up happening.
Yes.
It's Peter
But
Jackson.
yeah, well, I mean, way to
Naomi
spoil it.
Watts is coming on. Adrian Brody, fresh off an Oscar.
Kyle Chandler. It's actually we'd probably get Jack Black to do it, and that would be a wild episode. But no, I am really looking forward to doing this series with you, Jay. I feel like it'll be also very nostalgic for us because that's at times where we were adolescents and growing up, and anytime we get to kind of go back to that era is always very exciting to
It's
cover
actually
for
very
you and me.
silly given my age that I don't love Lord of the Rings,
It
but
is very silly. So I'm really looking forward to you kind of going down the Middle Earth rabbit hole, and it also
mhm.
just gets to knock out my yearly watch of them earlier
Yeah,
in the
there you go.
year, and it will be ones that get to be watched in the house collectively, as opposed to usually sometimes when I have to watch some movies by myself.
Nice.
But I'm very much looking forward to it. I know the audience will be very psyched when we get to announce this here soon. So, Jay, I want to get us out of here. Tell everybody where they can find you and all your work on the internet. And you know the drill, buddy. A recommendation for our audience for the week.
Yeah, man. Letterbox J Ledbetter, Twitter at Mr. J Ledbetter. Any writing I'm doing over at awardswatch.com, a great website. Um, Recommendation of the week. How about a little film starring a great actor called Brubaker from 1980, directed by Stuart Rosenberg. I'm currently doing some watches for a little 1980 podcast that we've got. I guess it will have already come out on the Awards Watch podcast feed by the time this episode releases. But Brubaker is a movie about where Robert Redford plays a prison warden, and it's very low key. It sort of starts out with the same plot as when Tobias Funke was studying to be frightened inmate number two in Arrested Development. But then it turns into this real kind of morality play. Who's got more integrity than freaking Robert Redford? I mean, it's just like you're on this guy's side. You just really believe in him ethically. Um, it's it's a powerful movie without being overstated, and it's also kind of a movie about like how non-profits stay alive. They still have to make money. Which is kind of gross, but it's a very interesting movie. A film it's not one of my favorite movies ever or anything, but I'm really glad I watched it. So check that one out. A little lesser known film, Brubaker from 1980.
I like Brubaker a lot. I mean, it's Robert Redford in a movie. Can't really get mad at
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And it's,
Same year he directed Ordinary People. He was in Brubaker.
yes, and he's great in that for sure.
Got an Oscar nom.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jay, I am going to recommend, before I give all my socials out, my film, which is a movie that you still haven't seen at the time of recording. I hope by the time of release you have seen this. There's a
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
there's a little movie called Black
You
Bag.
got a little sody pop.
Little soda pop. Love Soderbergh. I think this is one of his best in many years, Jay. It's a movie that is, I feel like it's already going to be a contender for my top 10 of the year. It's a
Wow.
sleek, naughty,
94 minutes, I believe.
94-minute spy thriller with an impeccable cast.
Huge bomb.
I mean, you really want to do that? You really want to go after it for that already? Like, leave the movie alone.
We're doing great.
I don't care. I don't care.
No, I don't either.
I
I bet
think
that'll
it's,
be a big VOD hit.
yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be, I think it'll totally do well because it'll be like, oh, I can rent this movie and watch it for 90 minutes at home. Oh my God. Yeah. And it's got this
Ooh,
cast.
it's a movie for grown-ups,
Yeah. It'll do well on the VOD platform.
Grown-ups
And
love staying at
honestly,
home.
Focus Features is one of the places that they encourage the streaming platform sort of model. Like they did that with Bike Riders and with what was that, The Northman? Like they do a really good
The
job at kind of
Northman was like a huge deal
yeah.
on VOD.
Conclave was too. Talking to some people, like the VOD numbers for Conclave were big as well with the old people. Like they'll find a movie like that if they
What are
want
they
to.
focused on? Home viewing.
Exactly. Because they're old
But
and
they're putting their movies in theaters.
exactly. So they're getting a little bit, they get to bite at both ends of the apple. And I think this movie is really good. It is, I mean, like Soderbergh just, there's something about when he makes a movie and it hits it. He's
He
again,
really is one of the best directors
he
ever.
really is. Like, I don't necessarily, again, I always say this. I don't think he's like in my top 10 of those. That's my director. Those are my, those are the directors I seek
When
to.
he hits,
But man, when
oh
he's
my
on a roll, my
God.
God, it's like, okay, nobody else matters at this point. And he makes really entertaining films. And it's also, I said this on the recap show and the review episode a couple weeks back. Jay, he just makes movies that are completely different than the one he makes before. And he's always trying to not make the same thing twice in a row. And I kind of respect the hell out of that because so many directors want to stay in their same ish lane.
Oh yeah, I mean he's the antithesis of Tarantino, who's like, I want to have a perfect filmography,
And
and
he's like, fuck it, I'm going to
Soderbergh's
throw it
like,
out the
I
wall.
want to make a movie on my cell phone
Yeah.
about basketball agents.
He might have another one come out this year, by the way.
I think
got this movie called The
is supposed
Christophers.
to.
Yeah, this might
I haven't
come out in
seen
like,
the other one. What's the
you haven't seen
Ghost
Presence?
one? No, I haven't seen Presence yet.
Presence is fine, but like this is, yeah,
But that's crazy. He had two movies come out within basically a month of each other. One is
small
this
budget,
like
$5 million
experimental
yeah.
movie from the perspective of a ghost, and then the other one is a super sleek spy thriller,
Yeah.
sexy spy romance thriller.
Yeah. It's like, and then the other one I think is like a comedy, so it's like,
Man,
again,
when's the last time a big director had three movies come out in a year?
no, because usually like two is a lot. But
It was a ton.
Presence was technically shot like 2 years ago, and then like
Yeah, but it came
it
out.
was
this
like,
year.
well, I know, but like he didn't shoot them all like last year and then put
No,
them
I
out.
know.
You know what I mean? I'm not, it's very rare. I wouldn't.
Elaine May shot movies, or what? The Gorge. The Gorge
70
was shot in like 2021. And it just
Exactly.
came out.
Exactly. But I highly recommend everybody go see that. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, McQuade77. You can find all my work here at AwardsWatch.com. If you like podcasts, we do the main show that releases every Monday, 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify. Greatly appreciate that. Or on the website, please sign up for the newsletter. It's the best place to get all the stuff going on the website, all in one place. Next week, we will be back. We will be starting our Peter Jackson movie series. We will be reviewing Heavenly Creatures. Very excited to talk about that. Very excited to go on this journey with Jay, one step at a time in the Peter Jackson movie series. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.